This is Inspirational Women, a weekly series shining the spotlight on female trailblazers making a true difference in our community. Once again, here is Kate Daniels.
And in wrapping up March, we wrap up Women's History Month. Of course, we'll keep meeting amazing women throughout the year, but in March, we feel there's a stronger or bolder focus. This morning, we meet Delores Davis, a longtime Seattle and area resident, a social worker in her career, and now in multi-years of retirement, an author and educator, and a motivator for living life to its fullest. Delores Davis, good morning. I'm so grateful to have you join us this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
You are certainly an inspiration. No question.
I need to be an inspiration to myself.
Well, yeah, it probably starts with that, but once you do it, then it's an inspiration to others.
Well, that's true. That's very true. I'd like to be able to be an inspiration because so many people, like I keep on saying, are scared to get old. But when they can see that the old are having exciting times and enjoying themselves, they won't always be that afraid.
So true. That's it. We have to model that.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of us are modeling, but we don't realize that they're that age because they look so good.
Yes. And so that's why we need to reveal it at times so that, like when I found out your age, I went, oh my gosh, because the number does not compute with what we kind of think.
That's right.
Right?
That's very true. When they look at you sometimes and think you're 70, they're not impressed about the fact that you're in your 90s doing well.
Exactly. And what might that secret ingredient be?
Life is a continuation of learning. If you really want to find out that you're feeling good and moving on, it doesn't really stop.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it shouldn't stop. Let's put it that way.
Well, if we want to really have a fulfilled life, it shouldn't stop, should it?
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. A fulfilled life. I keep on looking at titles for different things because it really gives you ideas about how to be able to write and put certain information down. There's just so much that's available, and you can look at one thing, and there's so many variations of the same thing that you could write about the same thing but in a different way. A fulfilled life. That's a good title.
Well, I think that is what we really want to do, that,
yes.
You know, we have these gifts that we've been given, and I mean, if we hide them under that bushel basket, then you don't get fulfillment from that. But
well, and I think that that's what I really have felt a lot of times in thinking about certain writings, that I think we forget that a lot of our lives are similar. So that so many times we think that this person, because they have this position or have this money or had this type of things, their lives are more important, have been more interesting, more fulfilling. But I think if we put down what our lives were, 9 times out of 10, our grandchildren have certain experiences similar to that, that had they known that we had it, they could see that even if they have it, they can still have a fulfilled and interesting life, and they don't have to feel that everything is over, like so many young people do, because they only have a certain amount of life to be able to look at. But if they could read that that was the same thing their grandmother had, and she went through some of the same things, and now look at where she is, that could be inspiration for them.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
Right now, I only have 16.
Only.
But I have 14 great grands.
Oh my gosh!
And the oldest one is 21.
Of the great grands?
Of the great grands. And I just had one this past Christmas. That's the youngest one.
Whoa! What a span of time that is.
That is, but it's them, not me.
Well, that's true. Well, because going back in history, it's because you have 6 children.
That's true. That's true.
And from those 6, there are 14 grandchildren.
That's right.
And then
exactly
the 14 now have become 16.
And yet at the same time, only half of them, or even less than half, have children yet. I have at least 3, if not 4, grandchildren in their 20s. And then most of the rest of them are in their 30s, and there's about 3 that are in their 40s. So these sons, like the 30s and the 20s, there's still possibility for more children.
Oh, absolutely.
Great-grandchildren from that standpoint.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so many of them are at a variety of places. They do send me pictures, so I do keep up. But I don't get a chance to see that many of them anymore.
Because they're scattered across the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
They didn't do what I wanted them to do. I told them to scatter around all over the world, but they stayed in America. So I haven't been able to visit Italy and France and Spain. So grandchildren or great-grandchildren.
Oh, well, listen.
But I can do it for the United States.
And they're scattered all over the country. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got one in Baltimore, one in Las Vegas, one in Colorado Springs, and one in Los Angeles, and then two up here, but not in Seattle, but in the smaller towns, Kent and Bothell.
And so you stay in touch. Now, do you stay in touch via any kind of Zoom connections, or do they send you emails? How do you keep in touch with the pictures?
Well, with the pictures, usually I get that by text. So many of the people are on social media doing a variety of things, and so they include the children every now and then so I can get a chance to see them too.
Sure.
And then it's primarily through text, but every now and then it might be through an Instagram, but it's through social media most of the times, either way, from that standpoint. And so many of them are in clusters. And that's what I keep telling my family, that you tend to may or may not have trouble with your siblings, but a lot of the things that happen show that you all are connected. So that when I get a telephone call from one, I'm probably getting another one from somebody else. Or when there's several of my great-grandchildren were all born around the same time. So I've got about 4 that are about 3 years of age. I've got about 3 that are about 7, 8 years of age. You know what I mean? It's clusters of different times that are things that are actually happening with families. So it's primarily through telephone calls. Sometimes, I had everybody together for my 90th birthday and for my 95th birthday. And that was wonderful. All of them came for my 90th birthday. That was such a wonderful experience.
And I was wondering whether there was a time, and this is great, you're mentioning these 2 birthdays.
Yeah, these 2 birthdays were just, was for my 90th birthday, everybody came. And that was wonderful because I wanted that more than anything else. I had a home in Bellevue, and as long as I had my home, I had family that came. Once I moved to an apartment, and they had their own places, I never had everybody come again. And so for my 90th birthday, that was a gift that I wanted to be able to have. And that was everybody came for my 90th birthday here in Seattle. However, for my 95th birthday, I know they wouldn't be doing that. So I had a birthday in Las Vegas. I had a birthday party in Los Angeles. And I had 2 birthday parties in Seattle. One I had that I was really pleased about, I had a birthday party of 13 girlfriends. It's a girlfriend's party, and I really have always wanted that, and that was one I did for myself, and that was really good. I enjoyed that. Then the other one that I had in Seattle was a surprise birthday because I didn't know what was going to happen with my 2 sons that were up here in town, but they gave a surprise birthday party at my complex, which was even more surprising. Then I was in Los Angeles, and I was able to stay do a staycation at one of the hotels and went out. The family took me to a supper club, and that was nice. And then in Las Vegas, I did a helicopter tour over the Grand Canyon.
Was that the first time for that for you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. First time in a helicopter, too.
Oh.
So I had a very nice 95th birthday party also, and that was just last year.
And so here's part of our connection today is when I had not seen you in a while, and then I saw you recently at church, and we talked about how good you look, and you asked me how old I thought you were, and I thought you were, 80-ish, and then you revealed to me that at that point you're still 95, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
That was recent.
Yes.
About 95 and a half now.
Okay. So, yes, 96. The 96th birthday is coming up later this year.
That's right, in August.
So that really grabbed my attention as to how you looked, how you were carrying yourself, how you were moving around. And now, as you've just shared about the travel that you've done, the celebrating, the things that are important, the great gift, family getting together. That was the great birthday gift that you had at 90. So I just felt it's so important when there are people of a certain number, and it is just a number, but still, that you
It's
really...
more than just a number. It's a life.
Well, yes.
It's a life. Because,
Yes.
I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people don't have the opportunity or the blessing or the chance to be able to have such a fulfilled life. Now, a lot of us don't have as much problems. No, a lot of us don't have all those things when we're younger that some other people have. Some of us may not have had a certain kind of a lifestyle that a lot of other people have had. And they get it in the later years or the middle years. So that was one of the beauties of being able to, when we talk about fulfilled life, we don't always get the same things at the same ages. I remember, I'll probably talk about it a little bit later, I was a social worker at Catholic Children's Services for a short period of time, and I felt so bad when I saw how many young children were in foster care or had been abused or were having difficulty or didn't have the kind of homes that they saw other children have, and especially the ones that were in foster care who had to leave a home. And it wasn't their fault, but they're the ones that had to leave and other people would stay. And I recall how difficult it was so many times that a lot of us who were in those positions are crying, but going to our own families. And I was talking to this friend who was working there for 20 years, and I said, how do you do it? And she said, well, one of the things that helped me is the fact that I just feel that some of us get our things early and some of us get it late. And some of us probably never get it at all. But that's one of the beauties of being able to live long. Sometimes we get those things in later life that we didn't get in early life. So it's worthwhile still sticking around just in case to see and not feel that, oh, gosh, I don't want to be this age and I can't stand that. Or when you're at this particular age, you're always a cripple or you always are sick or nothing else worthwhile or no man wants you, which is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
It's been a blessing to be able to live this long, to be able to have these experiences.
And to share the stories with this large family, your 6
Yes.
children, 14 grandchildren, and then 16, that's 36 just without counting their spouses, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
That's
That's great. I was thinking about that because my husband was a migrant worker from Jamaica.
Ah,
And when I hear about so many people that talk about migrants, and also when I think about how he would have felt had he lived to see how his family has grown and from where he came from and what they're doing and how they're relating to society and how society is better because they did live and he did have them.
oh, yes, absolutely. That even though he is not physically present, there's so much of him that now lives on.
That's for sure, especially in the boys, because I had 4 boys and 1 natural girl and 1 adopted girl.
Ah.
So that, I've written several different little books about him and myself and the life and about how the kids have grown and what they are. And I'm very proud of my family and what they have become and still becoming.
Oh, yes. And that is wonderful, too, to have that feeling, to have the pride in who they are and what they are becoming and how your family is growing. And it comes from way back when you mentioned with your husband being here as a migrant worker, and he died young because your youngest child was only 6 years old at that time.
Yeah, I think actually, I don't know if I think he was 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But, yeah, because my husband was only 43 when he died. But it's interesting because when I think about it, he was an only child and so was I.
Oh.
His father died when he was 3 and my mother died when she was 2. So really we had very few things to be able to have as backups for our children or for experiences for ourselves of what we really wanted to have the children do, become, and be a part of. So I think that was another reason I was so proud of, because I just felt so bad that my children would not have a father, they would not have uncles and aunts, and they wouldn't have cousins, but they had each other.
Yeah.
And there was 6 of them, so that's about the same thing almost as having a cousin.
Yes, when you have...
And they did have a grandparent. Well, she was an aunt, but they called her grandmother.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I would imagine with the way you're still so connected, they all gather together, like for your 90th birthday, that attests to them saying that they had a good life, they love this family, they want to be together.
Well, I wish I could say that was true. I think they came together for me. But I think that because I was not close to my family and didn't seek to be close, I'm from Chicago and I came out here, I think they didn't grow up having the feelings of family is the most important. I think they grew up with the feeling that individuals are who they want to become. And so they have the choice of not having to be close to family unless they want it to be close to family. And it could be that's the reason why so many of them are further apart instead of close together.
But the fact that you are mother, you're here, and they obviously honor that by wanting to be together to pay that kind of homage to you. That
I think that's true. Right. I think that I'm blessed for them to care enough to want to be able to be in certain ways for me and respecting me and doing things because they want mom to be satisfied. But I also realize there's individual differences, and so I try not to push, but I do let them know how I wish.
And that is beautiful, Delores.
Okay.
To respect them and, that they are individuals, yet to share what's important to you and to accept what the results are. So you get a little of each, right? They come together as this big group, and then other times you're just seeing some of them. And then I'm really, again, thinking of that number, 95, that you stay on social media, that you are texting, so you stay up to date with them, because there are many people that are even younger, say in their 70s, who would say, oh, no, those cell phones, those computers are not for me.
Well, I started out that way, to tell you the truth. I worked at the University of Washington as a medical social worker for 20 years, and the computer was coming in, and they were going to have a computer at every desk. And so I figured that I needed to be able to learn the computer, and I tried to take some classes, and it was so difficult. I said, no, I'm too old to get the computer. So I retired from the university. One of the reasons because I felt that I was too old to learn the computer. And 3 years later, I was teaching computer skills to seniors in Bellevue. And the reason I wound up doing it was because of the fact that 2 of my youngest children were talking together. I forgot that they had died. My husband died when they were under 10. And they were talking together and questioning, did Dad ever work? And when I thought about how hard my husband worked in the tobacco fields and apple fields in 100-degree weather while he was a migrant laborer, and they didn't know about that. And so I said, I better write that down and write it before I forgot it myself.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and wrote my first book about the gift of memories, and had to be able to learn how to do certain things on the computer in order to write the book. And that's really how it got me involved in the computer and the writing. And I sort of just went on from that. And the one I'm working on now, I'm happy to say my son told me, be sure to tell people that you were involved with AI in this current book. So, yeah, they forced me to keep up.
Well, see, that is amazing that you had that experience of, oh, no, I guess I better retire because I can't do this computer thing. But yet you went back. I'm guessing you took classes somewhere in order to do this.
Well, it's amazing because of the fact I decided to write the book. Once I decided to write the book, I needed to be able to find out how to do things. Well, certain friends were there. But then I saw this article in the paper about the fact that they were having this computer classes for seniors, and they were going to have it at this particular they're going to have a meeting at this particular place. And I went to that class, and I found out about this program and volunteered to be able to be a part of the program and took some of the classes that they had and started doing things on my own and created classes of my own. And so I started, I think in the year 2000, teaching a class, writing your own life story. So I learned with them to be able to how to do certain kind of things. And the more you do, the more you teach. That's how you really learn is, I admire teachers so much because that's how you learn is by teaching others.
Yes. And what you are exemplifying here, too, is how there is no limit, that number limit to learning. And in fact, in order to really stay really alive, it's important to keep learning.
Very true. Now, I don't disagree that it's very frustrating and you get very upset. And it's not necessarily easier, but it's such a satisfaction when you go ahead and accomplish it. It's so special.
Oh,
you sort of wake up in the morning feeling pretty nice when you have accomplished something that was difficult to be able to do or something you didn't think you could do or something you didn't want to do.
yes.
It's
Yes.
one of the few things that gives you that internal thing that comes from within versus all the other things that you might enjoy that comes from without.
Right. Yes. And you've enjoyed it so much, the learning, but you said you were doing this kind of in tandem with teaching others, with writing your life stories.
Oh, yes.
But then this inspires them to see who you are and how you're doing it, that has to be like a little dose of medicine, like, oh my goodness, if Delores is at this number, 95 at this point, because you're still doing this, right? You're still doing these classes.
Yes. Well, I'm not doing the classes anymore, but I am writing now. The organization itself closed in the late 90s. And so I started doing some of the things at the place where I'm living now. And some of the retirement communities, I would go ahead and do some classes. But I stopped teaching others for several years ago, and so I've been doing more creative things myself. And I was really shocked because this was not the things that I thought I'd do, but I got involved in craft and quilting for a number of years and was surprised how expansive it was and how many people were involved in that. And so I did that for 3 years and giving gifts to people and selling it, and then got tired of that. And for about 3 years, about 4 years ago, I started painting and took some classes in painting and even had a painting in one of the local painting places downtown Seattle.
Whoa.
And did that for several years and have not been doing either one of those for a while, but I've continued to be doing writing since I started in 1989. I've tried to do something every 3 to 4 years and still doing it right now. So the writing has been more consistent, and the writing about giving information about genealogy to the family. It just seemed like I had a desire and a need to write, and I had to be writing something one way or the other. And so much of it had to be about family. But then a couple of things were different. But it's always been self-published. So it's nothing that has been available like at Amazon or the community from that standpoint, but several self-publishing things. When I became 90, I was so upset that so many people were making comments about being old. And when you look at the greeting cards, you didn't see anything on the greeting cards, unless it's spiritual, that was not making fun of being old. And
yes.
the pictures about the women were just terrible.
Yes.
So I wrote a book about the advantages of being older. I think I was saying, can't think of the actual title, but I took about 16 articles that I felt were very important, plus several jokes, and put it together and was talking about the advantages of being old.
Well, and see, this is a publication that really should be available to people so that we can aspire to that rather than think, oh, no, hold off aging. No, I can't go down there because it's such a negative place. And it's not.
Well, not only that, yes, you're right. Not only that, everybody thinks that, oh, my family didn't live long or I didn't have that, so that way I probably won't be that way. And, genealogy and how long your parents lived and what kind of life you had is only about 30% of having to do with what's going to make it how long you live and how well you live. So much of it is much more environmental situation and what you do for yourself. And that was one of the things I wanted to be able to show, too.
And so certainly one of the things that you do is you're constantly learning and listening to yourself as to, discover new areas like the quilting and the crafting, right?
It's the thing that makes you want to get up.
Right. And I think before we started our conversation, you said you had just returned from a walk. So you're definitely staying active in terms of physical movement and activity.
Yeah, I'm not doing what I want to do or what I ought to do, but I'm doing something.
Well, see, isn't that important? You're still being gentle with yourself. You're pushing yourself to a certain degree, and you'd want to do more. And maybe with the wanting, it will happen eventually.
Yeah, that's true. But the reality, like you're saying, hey, Delores, you are such an age, so you can sort of give up. I like what Reverend Abernathy said a long time ago. I'm not where I want to be, and I'm not where I'm going to be. But thank God I'm not where I was.
Yes.
And I really like that because of the fact that means I'm still going, and I'm not where I really want to be yet.
Yes.
But I'm still moving on. And I really feel that same thing even at this age.
Yes.
I've been very blessed and had naturally a lot of problems and sufferings. But overall, I still feel that there's a lot that I haven't done. And if I get a chance to do it, I'm going to enjoy it like mad.
I love it. And, on top of that, because of course people are not able to see you, we're radio. But when I saw you recently and I said, oh, maybe you're 80-ish, only because I just did some mental calculations as to the time we've known each other. But it's not like you don't even necessarily look 80-ish because you dress well, you present yourself well, you have this radiant smile. That all comes together to just really speak volumes, I feel.
Thank you. What I also have heard, I agree that a lot of people think that I'm a lot younger. If they don't know me and if I don't tell them how many children I've got, they really think I'm probably 20 years younger than what I might be. But I also found out to my surprise is that a lot of people feel that my voice hasn't changed.
Yes, exactly.
So that I still get medical people asking whether or not, can I talk to your mother? As somebody said, well, it was a legal situation. Said, you don't sound like you're that age. And I said, well, tell you the truth, I am. I didn't realize it until recently. More and more people they've spoken about how I may look or act or dress or something, but the voice seems to be something that they're paying attention to that I hadn't paid attention to before. So like I said, I have been blessed. I may not look it, but I am that age. My body tells me that every now and then.
Oh, yes. It likes to remind us, doesn't it?
Yes, that's true.
Truly, you are an inspiration, Delores Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm honored that you wanted to talk to me. Yeah.
Well, because I just feel we're always needing some inspiration. There's enough of the negative stuff, like you need to do these things and you need to look a certain way. And you are embracing who you are and showing that you're, I think, ageless, but an inspiration to say, just keep on learning and being active, and we grow and we really become more of who we're meant to be.
And I think that a lot of what we do and feel is internal because we don't have to worry about what other people think. If you're blessed enough to have your health, then of course that's the thing more than anything else that can make you feel good to want to try things. And you don't have to feel that. I think it is difficult when you don't have people around and you don't get a chance to have transportation. You are more limited, but in the long run, it is up to us to get up to do that walk around the park or to be able to say hello to the neighbor or to be able to take that little bit of money you've got and take a cab or a bus and go someplace. So they may not come to us, but we can create the things for ourselves. But if you go ahead and have a smile, a lot of times people will come up to you because they see you smiling, want to know what you're smiling about.
Well, Delores, you do have a radiant smile. It just really lights up your entire face. So, yes, that is certainly welcoming and engaging.
It makes it easier, I know, from that standpoint. The transportation is the only thing that holds me back right now. But then a lot of times, because you don't have the transportation, you sometimes have friends that will go ahead and be able to help you. That has advantages, and so it keeps you from having to be alone on that particular score.
Yes.
There's just so many things that you can turn from a bad thing into a good thing if you want to. That's one of the things you've got to do, is be a little bit more humble when you get older if you want to go ahead and keep up with a lot of the things that you want to do, because you're not independent as easy as you were beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I find it every time I go outside my door. But I got to go outside my door to find it.
You are contributing so greatly, and I so do appreciate you, Delores Davis. I appreciate our time and your sharing parts of your life story with us, because I do think it's great encouragement.
Well, I'm pleased that you were interested. And I had sent a little text to my kids last night to be able to tell them about what their mother was going to be doing today.
And I hope that they were well impressed.
In fact, that's one of the words that one of my sons said, "I'm impressed."
Ooh, all right.
So we use the same word. Yeah.
Well,
very nice talking with you.
It's
very
wonderful
nice
to speak with you too, Delores. Thank you. I appreciate your being here to hear these important stories and to meet these wonderful women. Please check this station's website for the podcasts for more information about these guests, and please share the stories with your family and friends. I'm Kate Daniels. If you'd like to connect with me, please email me at katedaniels@hubbardradio.com. And most importantly, have a fulfilling day.
Thank you for listening to Inspirational Women. Tune in every Sunday morning at this time to hear about those truly empowering the Northwest community, all for the greater good. Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women are a public service of Hubbard Radio Seattle.